Counter-Strike is the greatest esport in the entire world. I personally believe this. A lot of other people personally believe this. And well, if you are one of the people that believes this, I think it also makes sense that you would want to help out the country where you're from. You know, I'm obviously American. We suck cock in Counter-Strike. And so creating an organization to try and, I don't know, help develop talent, make your country look better on the global stage, and just have a team to cheer for seems like a fun idea. And while there are many people who have actually gone out and done this, you know, signing rosters, grinding their way through tier 2, and most of them really have one main goal, and that's really to make a major. Making a major is like the best possible thing that can happen to any Counter-Strike team, because not only is it the most prestigious event of the entire year, it gives you a tremendous payday. And listen guys, at the end of the day, Counter-Strike organizations are businesses. They have to make money or they can't exist. And so even if you do want to help out your region, you can't help out your region without any bread, right? So when you create one of these teams, it's kind of an investment in a way. And of course, the ultimate payday is if you can qualify for a major. Because, well, if you qualify for a major, holy guacamole, man, you instantly spawn in hundreds of thousands of dollars. Because how these majors work is every team in attendance gets a sticker. People who play Counter-Strike can buy sticker capsules. They open these up, they get player signatures, they get team stickers, and these sticker capsules make Valve millions and millions of dollars every time they are released. And Valve, being the nice little sweet guys they are, they share this with the teams, and because the stickers make so much goddamn money, the teams make a lot of fucking money. You know, a lot of the teams who went to the Budapest major made around $600,000, and this single-handedly is gonna pay for a lot of that investment you put into Counter-Strike. You know, pay for the player salaries, pay for a nice hotel and stay while they're at the major, pay for a player transfer potentially if you want to make a big move. It was just extremely useful in helping the organizations and helping the scene as a whole. And so, what do you think would happen if, I don't know, we took that 600,000 and cut it in a tenth, and now we have no more money? Well, that's what's happening in real life. Follically challenged Garmour speaking. Guys, if you would like to support me in the stuff I do here, check out the new long-term sponsor of the Garmour YouTube channel, SkinSwap. SkinSwap is the #1 place to trade your Rust or Counter-Strike skins for new ones where you can instantly upgrade your inventory. And if you use my code Garmour, you can get up to $50 on a free skin and a 3% lifetime selling bonus. And now you can also easily buy skins off the Chinese marketplace for cheaper prices than you ever could on the Western marketplaces. I truly think this is the best feature on any skin trading website, but if you are looking to sell, you can sell your skins for crypto, PayPal, Venmo, and a bunch of other withdrawal methods. Along with this, SkinSwap has a vault system now, which makes it the most rewarding skin trading website. And of course, don't forget the giveaways. And I think that's it. Thank you to them, thank you to you guys, and back to the video. And while I do want to get into that more in depth in a little bit, there is a bigger point that I want to make. Because listen, guys, I'm normally a glass half full type of guy, and I truly believe Counter-Strike esports is going to be around forever. Like I said at the start of this video, I think Counter-Strike is the greatest esport in the entire world. In my opinion, it's the closest thing we have to a traditional sport. I think it's going to be the first esport to go mainstream if it hasn't already. You know, this game's been around for over 20 fucking years at this point, man. Like, I get League and Dota are huge and other esports are pretty big, but like League of Legends came out in 2009. That's chump shit, bro. Counter-Strike came out in 2000. Technically, you could even say the original beta was dropped in 1999. So it has been 27 years we've had Counter-Strike, and so this single video game has been building a history year after year after year. Along with this, I think the game is very simple and easy to follow, so it makes it very easy for the average viewer to just pick it up and watch. But there's also so much depth to the game that you can get into it and keep learning stuff and learning stuff and learning stuff for fucking ever at this point, man. I really, dude, I mean, I could ramble about this forever. I fucking love Counter-Strike. And I do think the esport's gonna be around forever. I think it's gonna be the biggest esport in the world for a very long time. But with that out of the way, I do have some concerns just about the financial side of the professional scene, because I don't know if you can call it a bubble, but like looking at this scene as a whole, I just feel like players are getting paid so much on a monthly basis, and they deserve to get paid a lot, right? I'm not saying they don't, but you look at how much players are getting paid. You look at how much transfers are, hundreds of thousands of dollars for any player transfer, it feels. And now teams aren't really making shit from stickers. While I do think this was an overall good change, Valve has recently banned any skin gambling or skin trading websites for being sponsors, which are like the main companies that sponsor Counter-Strike teams. And I'm not trying to defend skin gambling websites here, but like just from a monetary perspective, I feel like money just keeps getting taken out and out and out of the pro scene, while player salaries are only rising higher and transfer fees are only getting higher and higher. And so I just have to ask the question, man, if everything is getting more expensive in the scene and the money that teams are getting is going down, we know it's a black hole for teams to run esports operations. They lose money every single year. Where is the money coming from, man? Like, really big tier 1 teams have very deep pockets, right? You still have regular gambling companies that can sponsor, you know, like on Vitality and Astralis. I hope that doesn't get my video nuked. I don't think it will. If you guys ever wondered why shit's blurred, it's because I've had videos nuked in the past for exactly that, so I'm just extra cautious. And so I guess, like, that can replace a lot of the skin gambling and trading websites. But I mean, when you look further down the line to tier 1.5, tier 2 teams, that's like all of their money, man, came from those specific websites.
Or sticker money.
And so, well, I guess a lot of the bigger teams are going to be fine. You know, teams like BetBoom and Bertram Clyde Gaming and Falcons, we don't gotta worry about them. But I'm talking about the other teams. You know, the Bates, the Gamer Legions. And well, I guess a really big one is Sinners. And we can get into Sinners. HLTV recently released an article called A Catastrophe: How the New Major Sticker System is Impacting the CS Scene by Mira, and a huge part of this is Sinners. Sinners is a team that entered Counter-Strike in 2020, and they've always been mainly a Czech team. Their founder is Czech, their players have always been Czech. They're trying to support the Czech scene, and well, over the course of their time of being in the game, they've actually become a pretty solid tier 2 team. But the main story for Sinners is that they've always been so close to making a Counter-Strike major, but they just haven't been able to get over the hump. 9th to 11th at PGL Major Antwerp RMRB. They literally came in 9th place at this RMR. To make the major, you had to be in 8th place or higher. They were literally one map away. You know, they lost in their final game to Bad News Eagles 1-2. Then Perfect World Shanghai Major 2024 Europe RMRA. The exact same fucking thing happens. They come in 9th to 11th place, losing 1-2 to Gamer Legion in their final 2-2 match. They come in 9th place, you have to be in 8th place or higher. Then for the entirety of 2025, they're just kind of in tier 2. You know, the RMRs are of course scrapped, and now if you're a high enough ranked team, you're just going to be able to attend one of these majors, and well, they weren't until the Cologne major in 2026. Sinners has a new roster with 2 Czech players, but they're mostly international because you guys know how Counter-Strike is in the big 2026. If you're not international, you're gonna die, you know, 95% of the time. And they have Beastick, Shock, Kissarik, Stressarn, and Moto. And well, this team is good enough in tier 2 to be in that major invite range, and they finally make it, man. It had been 6 years of this team trying to make a major. They had gotten so close multiple times, and now they have finally done it. The pride of Czech on their back. The Czech Republic themselves. Or Czechia, I don't fucking know, man. Is it Czech Republic? Is it Czechia? Does it really matter? I should know this, bro. I'm half Czech myself. I'm a fraud. But anyways, they finally made it, and I can almost guarantee you that this organization has been operating at a loss for 6 years, with the hopes that if they ever could finally make the major, it would all be worth it. They could finally break even at the very least. And well, after finally making it to a major, that's when Valve drops the nuke. See, we used to have little sticker capsules where anyone can open them for like, how much was it, like $1? You randomly get a sticker, blah, it was a whole fun thing. Well, right before Cologne, they have completely overhauled that system to where you need to now buy tokens to redeem specific stickers directly, with the dynamic pricing that raises or drops depending on that sticker's demand. Along with this, they also completely changed how they pay organizations out. 50% of the major revenue goes to teams and players, 5% to the organizer, with 45 of that being split across 32 teams by their VRS rank and major performance. And so now how teams are paid out is if you win the major, you get 2.85% of the revenue, along with, of course, you know, the money you win from winning the major. And then that kind of trickles down and down and down until the teams in 30 31st and 32nd place get 0.72% of the revenue. And well, because this new sticker system was so dog shit, 0.72% of the revenue was not very much anymore. You see, the dynamic pricing of these new stickers was horrible because if someone wanted a sticker of a player they liked, like Donk, you are just completely priced out of it now because everyone wants a Donk sticker. And I mean, you kind of have to pay out the ass for it, man. It would be like 50 to 100 bucks for a sticker, whereas before it was like $1 and maybe you get it. And I mean, I get it's gambling, but it's just more appealing that way. And so the revenue from these stickers fucking way down, man, straight in the hole. And along with this, Valve also made it so there would be a mandatory 50-50 split between the organization and the players, which for the most part is probably a good thing, at least for the players. But this, of course, caused some issues as well. You know, there was already clauses in player contracts talking about sticker revenue. So because the old contracts are now outdated, but the players already signed them, and now there's this new 50-50 split rule, players and organizations were fighting over who actually got what. Sometimes orgs asked players to return money. Sometimes players demanded more money because in their contract they got more than the Valve 50% split. But when it's all said and done, for a team like Sinners, who went to this major and unfortunately went out in complete dead last, their 6 years of grinding got them about $60,000. Well, technically 120, but the organization themselves only got 60. In the HLTV article, it says one of the teams to exit the major in stage 1 told HLTV that they had made approximately $60,000, or 120 if you consider the same amount went to the players under the new 50-50 system from the sale of items. This pales in comparison to figures from Budapest, where contender sticker capsules made around $600,000 before any split with the players. A stage 2 organization reported earnings just over 120 from Cologne so far, with a quote saying, "This is a catastrophe for the CS scene," the stage 1 organization told HLTV. No sooner had Valve released the Cologne major stickers than Mortiz Straub understood the huge wave of trouble that was about to hit the scene. Instantly, from the first moment, I knew this was going to be a disaster, the Sinners co-founder told HLTV. The update put a damper on the Czech organization's excitement after it had finally made a major more than 6 years after entering the game with a local lineup. Sinners had been the last team to qualify for Cologne, locking down Europe's 17th spot following FaZe's loss to Big in HLC Belgrade Pro Grand Final. It was the moment Sinners management, as longtime Counter-Strike fans and players themselves, had been waiting for. The chance to immortalize the organization in the game, and it was also meant to be the financial windfall that would help them break even after years in the red and eventually scale up operations. As euphoric and happy as we were, and as many tears as we shed that we had finally made the major, that was pretty quickly squashed when we saw all this and we were like, this is shit. The new sticker system upended everyone's projections. Contracts had been drafted around the pre-existing model, with salaries and bonuses negotiated accordingly. This expectation was that Cologne would at the very least match the payout from Budapest, but given the level of prestige attached to the event and the hype surrounding many teams, it was not out of the realm of possibility that it could be the most lucrative major since Shanghai. You based your calculations on something that was obvious to you because it had been like this for close to a decade at this point. And now, for the first major that you make it to, they change everything. And you're completely screwed financially, from the stickers at least. It's disheartening, you know? Another stage 1 organization, which asked to remain anonymous, made a significant investment in a player with a view to making the major, hoping that it would recoup most of the money that it had spent on the transfer with the sticker payout. That expectation has now collapsed entirely. Of course, sticker revenue was never fully predictable, and no one knew exactly how much money would come in at the end or if you qualified, a rep from the organization told HLTV. But if you qualified for a major and received that revenue, you could build around it. You could invest in infrastructure, develop young talent, strengthen your organization, and also support higher player salaries. That opportunity has now largely disappeared. So that fucking sucks for Sinners, by the way. You know, 6 years in the game, you were so close and you finally make a major, and the major you make stinks, at least sticker revenue wise. And so now you are still deeply in the red. And this just brings me back to my point. Organizations are already saying this. The one org who wasn't named, who added a player that was very expensive in hopes to make the major, my guess, Big Clan would blame F, but we don't really know for sure. They made that transfer as an investment to say, listen, this is an expensive ass transfer because transfers in Counter-Strike are severely overpriced, at least in my opinion. But if we we make the major, it would all be worth it. The sticker money will pay this off. And you make the major and you don't get shit. And so, like I said at the start of this video, I just feel like we're gonna start having a really bad money problem. And we've already seen some orgs leave the game because it doesn't make sense financially. And I feel like we could see more in the coming months, coming years. I feel like we could see a lot of tier 1.5, tier 2 teams just completely collapse. And I don't think that's a good thing for the Counter-Strike scene. Because while a lot of these bigger organizations are going to be able to survive, there might be a lot of instances where up-and-coming players and up-and-coming teams are never even going to get a chance because it's just too expensive and there's not enough money coming back in. You know, stickers were a huge part of why Counter-Strike could even happen for a lot of these organizations, why these teams could exist, why transfers could be made. And I mean, without that surge of money now, I just think the roster manias are going to get a lot more boring. And like with player salaries continuing to rise, I don't know how the fuck these organizations are going to be able to afford this at this point. And I mean, that's not even talking about the players themselves, where if you qualified to a major, literally you immediately made life-changing money. We would see so many videos of teams making it to the major and immediately realizing their life had now literally changed forever. I mean, you have Passion UA, Bad News Eagles. There are so many examples of this, and it was so heartwarming. And there is counter arguments to where it's like you try so hard to make the major and then you don't care because you already get the sticker money. And to that I say I just don't think that happens as much as you would think. Like, sure, you get a huge payday for making it and you feel this huge weight lifted off your shoulders, but at the end of the day, all of these players are still competitors, and I'm sure they're gonna want to go as far into the major as possible no matter what. I guess that's just my take. I don't know. Maybe some players are different. I'm sure they're not all like that. But yeah, I don't know. Just overall, this really does seem like a fucking disaster up to this point. And I get Valve had to kind of start cracking down on things because they are getting into legal problems with all of the case and gambling stuff in the game. And so I guess I get it. It's just extremely unfortunate. And so I feel like we've talked about, you know, stickers at decent length at this point. It's bad. It's going to be bad for the high-end tier 1 teams because they're not going to be willing to make crazy roster moves as much at this point. It's going to be bad for the tier 1.5, tier 2 teams who just can't afford to live in this space anymore. And with, you know, teams probably leaving the game because of this, that's going to shrink the competitive depth quite a bit. You know, I don't want the same big tier 1 organizations at every tournament. I want new up-and-coming exciting teams. And well, I guess that leads us to our next point because the money issues don't stop there. Hello, family. It is currently very early in the morning, but there is a slight tweak to this sticker system that I wanted to talk about. Valve ships new ranked Cologne major stickers. They acknowledge the original series didn't produce reasonable prices. You don't say. At this point, Valve is desperately trying to salvage the Cologne Major sticker disaster. They released this new design for stickers where it has the team standing in the corner, which I guess is kind of cool. They also said the dynamic pricing system didn't produce reasonable prices, where the most sought after stickers were around $1,500, and they made a new system where the highest valued stickers can't be worth more than $60. So it sounds like they're at least trying. I don't think this is gonna, you know, realistically save the sticker problem, but maybe it'll help it slightly. This is kind of older news, but I think it is relevant in this context with Valve banning skin trading or skin gambling website sponsors. ESL has also recently followed suit in this, and this is a very weird topic to talk about because it's a very good and bad thing. Overall, skin gambling, a net negative, I think everyone can say. But I mean, at the end of the day, all this is going to do is just push teams to get regular gambling sponsors if they can. Because let's be honest here, guys. In no universe is gambling going to disappear from Counter-Strike. You know, not only is it hardwired into the game at this point, in an esports league, there's no avoiding it. There really isn't. You look at any traditional sport and it's really the exact same thing. It's just unrealistic to think that this is ever going to disappear because it's not. I can tell you it's not. You know, unless Valve single-handedly sponsors the entire circuit themselves, it's never gonna go away. And I think that's something that a lot of people need to realize. You know, I do get that gambling is villainized, but without it, we don't have a competitive Counter-Strike scene. We just don't. You watch any other regular sports league, there's also gambling everywhere. We as human beings have had gambling since we fucking existed in the universe, man. When was gambling invented? invented? 2300 BC. Gambling has existed much before we've been alive. It's going to exist much longer after we've been alive. It's always going to be a part of it. And well, I guess the point that I'm trying to get to is with these bans, these are the websites that are basically single-handedly funding the tier 2, tier 3 scene. Like, sure, you can try and replace them with the next best thing, you know, offshore crypto casino, because that's what's going to have to end up happening at this point. But a lot of sites like that are less willing to do so because they're going to get less return on their investment. You know, skin trading and skin gambling websites are already so involved with Counter-Strike that sponsoring Counter-Strike, you know, it makes it a lot easier. Better ROI than a regular crypto casino. At least I would suspect so. So they're going to be more willing to sponsor, you know, lower tier tournaments, lower tier teams, and having a full circuit is a good thing. You know, the major is 32 teams at this point, man. We need a tier 2 circuit to get teams in that lower end of making the major at all. Without them, what the fuck are they gonna do? And so at this point, where does this leave us? Well, in tier 1, players are demanding tens of thousands of dollars a month. Buyout salaries are easily 6 figures, sometimes 7. And the reporting at this point from the organizations is that the money just isn't there. This previous roster mania we had, sure, there were some fun, exciting moves, but maybe a little more quiet than you would expect. And once again, it's just because the money isn't there, man. And so at this point, all that there's really left to happen is for the Counter-Strike bubble to pop. Salaries are gonna have to come down. Transfer fees are gonna have to come down. And I mean, like, that is a good thing for transfers. Transfers, I still think, are just way too fucking expensive. That's a good thing. Players have their salaries going down. Probably won't be happy about that one. You know, like I said, the big tier 1 orgs that are like ranked top 5 to top 10 in the world are most likely going to be fine. But everyone else below that, I feel like things are going to start getting pretty tough. You know, we already have organizations folding like Gaming Gladiators. Who else? What team was Nut on again? Nut. Ecstatic has completely crumbled. And so now my main question is not if all of this is going to happen and we're going to have a recorrection. It's really how long is it going to take? Is it going to happen this year, next year, 3 years? 5 years? Are we just gonna have an influx of offshore casinos and it all stays the same? Is it possible Valve tweaks the sticker system and eventually we do get back to how much organizations were making from sticker money before? You know, it's really a weird situation because they have been getting into legal issues with the loot box stuff. So I feel like it's more likely than not that they aren't gonna return to sticker capsules. You know, maybe they try and tweak the system in some other way to make it more appealing to the average fan. You know, probably slow salary corrections that are going to take over the course of the next 1 to 3 years for a lot of these players. A lot more tier 2/3 teams are probably going to end up crumbling, and a lot of organizations are going to have to find a new way to make money, whatever that may be. You know, at the end of the day, all this does is widen the gap between gambling organizations, Falcons, and, well, everyone else. If you guys thought Falcons already had all the power, oh my god, can it get so much worse. I think I've rambled enough about this at this point. I don't even know if this is all going to come out to make sense. I tried to, you know, put it all out there in kind of a good format. We'll see how this ends up. But I guess let me know what you guys think down below. Like, I still do think the esport is going to be fine in the long run, but it does seem like there is a brutal bubble that needs to be popped at this point. Who gives a fuck about the AI bubble? Not enough people are talking about the Counter-Strike bubble, man. But yeah, that's it for me today, fellas. Leave a like if you liked. Subscribe if you want to subscribe. Turn on notifications if you want to be notified. And I'll see you guys next time.